Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Got your blanket, you've got your brew.
I got my blanket, I got my brew, and I've got so many books.
Oh my God, same. My shelves look, I want to say bare, but I can't really say bare. But they're lacking.
Like I was almost late for this live because I was like, oh no, I've got to go back and get this book and this book and this book. I love your t-shirt. What does it
Thank you.
say?
It says House of Wind Book Club.
Love it. Love it.
Thought it was very apt.
Very apt. Very apt.
Maybe not the
Because
House of Wind, but the book club part works.
I don't know. My side, it's pretty windy, so I've got that covered. Welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us. This is a bit of a special one, isn't it, Sam?
Is. It's a new venture. It's not a venture, it's the same thing, but it's just a new
It's a new
area.
iteration. Yeah. What did you say?
New area of the
A new
same
area.
venture.
Yeah, I like it. A new area of this venture, a new iteration of this venture. Um, we thought we would, because last season we kind of interviewed each other, which was very interesting. Hello, welcome. Um, and what we had wanted to do, actually, even from last season, is create a bit of a book club in between all the amazing guests. And, we have to say, we have been blown away by the people that have agreed to talk to us. Like
We have.
we're in this awesome situation where our biggest problem is how to fit in all these amazing legends who have agreed
Really
to,
is.
talk with us and be on these lives, and just, just all their timing and their calendar and their dates, because obviously they're very in demand and busy people. So there's a lot of admin going on in the background. But in the meantime, we wanted to do a book
Yeah.
club, didn't we, Sam?
We absolutely did, but one with a twist, because obviously one where you sit down and you've got one book to read, it can be quite time consuming, it can be like a bit of pressure, and I know I don't like to conform to a book club because I like reading ahead. In one of the questions, will expand on it, but I'm not a buddy reader. I will cheat on you, I will carry on, and I will finish the book without you getting past chapter 4, so I'm not someone to do that with, but yeah, so this one's more of a relaxed, what are you reading? Let's talk about it. What are we reading? Let's talk about it.
100%. I
A
think
book
we
club with
just
no
discovered
rules.
what's our rules. What are the rules? Yeah,
Exactly. There are no rules, just
there
book,
are no
book,
rules.
books.
Yeah, there are no rules. There's clearly no boundaries. It turns out that we've just discovered we're both book slags. So that's
I want a
interesting.
t-shirt with that on.
The Book Slag Club. How about
Literally.
that?
Do you know what? That's it. Putting the world to rights, book slag club.
I love it. Let's just get Sam's Makes Things to get on that, and we can have our own merch for our new book club.
You know what? Don't tempt me. I will.
Amazing. So thank you everyone for joining us for this, because it's new. We don't really know what's going to happen. We've just
Oh.
established that it's going to be a little bit well, we're definitely pantsers. We're flying by the seat of our pants. But having said that, Sam is also an amazing planner. Like, you really are the person that keeps this all ticking along. Thank goodness for you, Sam, because you do a lot of the work in the background, and I think that needs to be acknowledged properly. So Sam has, first of all, gathered your questions and
Yeah.
also created a list of questions for each other, that we're going to cover. And it's just really exploring books and our love of books, and just being able to talk about our faves, and yeah, just go into a bit of a deep dive really with our
Yeah.
brew and our
With our,
blankets,
with our
and
blanket and our brew, very important.
absolutely, and lots and lots and lots of books. So where would you like to start, Sam?
Well, should we start with last now next? What did you read last?
So, okay, I've got this mountain of books, so I'm going to try and do this without everything falling over. So, the last book I read, so what I wanted for Christmas and for the holidays is to immerse myself in something that was like epic and fantastic, and as in fantasy, and a bit of a distraction, to be honest, because I think, as we've said several times on our chat and our lives, we are so horrified and traumatized and deeply, deeply concerned about what's going on in the world. And, reading is such an act of activism, all the time. And yet, there are times where we do just want to escape. And what's interesting is that what I find is whenever I'm looking for something which is, either a fantasy genre or sci-fi or something like that, it always ends up being relevant and political to, to this. I can't fully let go, otherwise I'm like, well, you're not kind of attached to the real world, what's going on. So I found this book and it was by chance, and it's called The Priory of the Orange Tree.
Oh my God, that book's so thick it scares me.
Look at that. Honestly, I flew through it. It is just everything you want. It's basically described as a female and feminist Lord of the Rings. So
Ooh,
that tells you
hello.
everything. Yeah, there's like a lot of sapphic, kind of love story in there as well. There's a lot of dragons. There's a lot of female warriors.
Who doesn't love
Um,
a dragon?
who doesn't love a dragon, right? There's, a queen that needs to be protected, but, it's the women that protect her. And yeah, there's magic in it and all of that. And it was brilliant. It was really, really well structured. And it had all the tropes that you wanted, but it took it somewhere fresh as well. So
Yeah.
that's what I read. That was my last book. Now, what I'm reading, oh God, where are we? Okay, here we go. So first of all, obviously, what I'm reading all the time is your recommendations and the
Yeah.
books of the amazing guests that we have on. So that's always in the background. And in between, I'm kind of picking out things that have been gifted for me. My birthday's in December as well, so I get a lot of books around December. So I just started Orbital by Samantha Harvey. Now, this is hilarious because obviously it's the opposite of the one before in terms of it being really thin and a novella.
It's like
It's
its baby sister.
yeah, exactly. And it's phenomenal. I mean, the thing about short books and novellas is that when they're done well, every word is chosen
Yeah.
so carefully. And I know that there are certain novella writers that take 10 years just honing that one book so that there is not an ounce of fat on it. And so far, this, I've only read like 20 pages, but it is that, and it's something so unique. It is about astronauts orbiting Earth and what that does to you, your kind of your view on life, your view on your identity, your view on time and space, and watching this kind of um well, ball of paradise and life really in this vast nothingness.
Yeah.
Waking up, going to bed, the lights coming on in the cities, then disappearing, and then morning again. And it's just really, really interesting. So that's what I'm reading now. And then in terms of what is next, I think I'm going to do a deep dive into one of these. So either
Oh,
Salt
both
Houses.
solid.
Have you read them?
I've read them both. I'm in the midst of that one, but I've read Salt Houses and I can't recommend it enough.
Amazing. So I know they're probably going to be hard reads, but very, very relevant and very, very essential. So that's me. That's my last now next. What
Right.
about you, Sam?
Last, I read All Her Fault by Andrea. Brilliant.
Yeah.
But unlike you with your amazing read, I felt like it was lacking a bit for me. I
Yeah.
felt it read very TV script to me, which is ironic because it's been now made into a TV show, which I'm not the biggest fan. I know I've told you I'm not the biggest fan of adaptations. However, I now want to watch it because everything I've seen says that that adaptation is better than the book. So I'm
Interesting.
intrigued. But yeah, the twists were twisting, but I just felt, unlike you've just said with the novella, there was a lot of filling that didn't need to be there. There was a lot of, oh, well, that's happened now, so there's going to be filler for the next 8 chapters until you get to the next. Yeah, that's what it felt like. Maybe it wasn't 8 chapters, but it's what it felt like, and it was kind of dragging. And thrillers, I can usually sit down and read them in a day, 2 days maximum, and this one took me at least a week and a half.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, it was just it didn't give what I was wanting it to give. And maybe that's because I have been on a thriller bump and I've been reading them back to back. So maybe I'm like, oh, well, that wasn't as good as that one. Whereas maybe if I read that sandwiched between something different, I would have maybe been like, oh, that was 5 stars, have all the stars. But I was like, you're not in my heart. So yeah, I enjoyed it and the story was great. I'm so happy with how it ended. The end was brilliant. I will say the end gagged me. I was sat there like, oh, I thought I knew where we were going, but I did not. I'll let you have that one. But the bits in the middle, I just thought dragged a little bit, and I kind of saw a few of the plot twists come in. But whether that's because I read a lot of thriller, I'm not sure. But yeah, I am excited to watch the TV show.
Yeah.
Now, now I what am I reading? What am I reading? Oh, I'm reading Mother Faker by Anna Brooke Mitchell,
Ooh.
which, oh my goodness, I have not laughed as hard at a book in a while. I have been absolutely cackling, just sat there, just totally immersed in this little pink book that you think, oh, it's going to be quite like hard hitting with the name and like the blurb. And you're just giggling to yourself. There was a bit, and it's not really a spoiler because obviously the title, Mother Faker, she's faking a pregnancy. And she gets these fake baby bumps. And I didn't think I was going to like the concept. I thought that's a bit, come on. But the way it's portrayed and the way that you get to know Barry, you see why she does it. And you see she's also having a moral dilemma that you follow along with. And there's also just this lovely character and that's helping her do it, and she's a nurse, so she signs off on things that she probably shouldn't sign off on, let's
Wow.
be honest. But yeah, I just found myself absolutely cackling, and it's set in Guernsey, so obviously it's somewhere I've never been. I don't know, but I feel like I've been there now because it shows all the differences, like the blue post boxes, and I'm like, oh, I need to Google that. I want to see them. So now I want to go to Guernsey, but I don't know whether that's a 2026 goal or whether that's a bit far fetched for 2026, but we'll see. But yeah, it's so funny and it's so light-hearted, but it has so much heart at the centre of it as well because there's so much more than just, oh, she's faking a pregnancy to get off work.
Yeah.
It's why is she doing it? All these colleagues that are having pregnancies, and it's not that she's like she's been against, like she's never wanted a child, and it's always people in her ear saying, oh, well, you'll change your mind. You always do. Like, I didn't want one. I changed my mind. And all these people, when she turns around and says, I'm pregnant, she's like, they all turned to her and said, I knew you'd change your mind. And obviously she sat there saying, well, in her head, she's like, I didn't. But she just wants the time off work because she gets passed up for promotion for someone that has children and she's been carrying their workload, and it's just the concept of it is absolutely brilliant, and I think the humor in it would make a fantastic TV show. I would absolutely devour it. But yeah, I'm loving it. I did a little read a thon, is it a readathon, to see how much I could read in an hour, and I just couldn't put it down. I thought I'm going to struggle to just sit there with a timer looking at me, but I just didn't want to put it down, and I ended up going over my timer amount anyway. But yeah, it's brilliant, and it's so funny.
Gorgeous. It's so rare, isn't it, that you actually find a
Mm.
book that makes you laugh.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
amazing.
not someone that actually audibly laughs. I'll think, haha, in my head maybe once or twice. But this one has like I've been making noises. I've been like, oh, I've got to be quiet. I'm going to wake people up. But yeah, it's absolutely brilliant.
Gorgeous. And
Oh,
what's
and
next?
the whole point of what I was saying, she gets these baby bumps online and she names them all for like the different things along, and it's so funny because there's a scene with the person that's signing off, Trish, and she's sat there like with a wine glass, like with her arm around one, and it's just so funny to imagine.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
It sounds like it would make a great TV show.
Yeah, and they're so like you can picture who they are in the head, the descriptions of the actual characters, like with the frumpy outfits and the brogues and the shoes, like and the hair, and
Yeah.
it's also like you can see who that would be.
Yeah. Yeah, really like
My
familiar
part,
reference
yeah, my
point.
partner read it and she said Sophie Willan would be the perfect person. I'm not familiar with who Sophie Willan is, but she
Yeah.
said that that would be who it is. So I googled and I was like, oh, I can see that. So yeah,
Yeah.
I would love that to be a TV show.
Amazing. Well, maybe it's in the works. Who knows?
Maybe it is. Maybe it is. And here is the book. I realised I didn't show it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's a good cover.
It is. And then obviously the A for the baby shower. It's so
Yeah,
clever.
clever. Love it. So that's now. What's
Yeah.
next?
Next, I am torn between these two. So they're both arcs. One is May 2026 and one is June 2026.
Oh,
But I'm leaning towards Shadow Reaper by Lynette Noni. And let me read you the blurb. The city of Aravel is in peril, plagued by a deadly black mist that kills all it touches, and reapers who roam the streets, leaving a trail of bodies in their wake. 17-year-old reaper hunter Viridia Solis has made it her life's mission to capture their leader, the man who murdered her parents. But the notorious reaper priest has eluded the best hunters until Elverdeen Isle for years. Until now. When the priest's right-hand man, Reeve Ashton, is captured, he offers Viri a chance to avenge her parents for a price. He off he offers she knows better than to bargain with a reaper, especially this one, but his offer's too good to resist. Only trusting Reeve comes with a heavy cost, and soon Viri risks losing everything, including her heart. And I read the Prison Healer series, and when I say I ate it up, I all three books in the series I read in 2 days. I could
wow.
not put them down. The way she writes, the fantasy worlds that she creates, the characters with the multi layers. Yeah, I think it's gonna have talked myself into it. She is phenomenal. But
It
yeah,
sounds
so one
amazing.
it does. And who doesn't love a morally grey character? Who doesn't love an enemies to lovers?
Yeah.
It's just yeah.
Yeah. Well, you've actually touched on something that we were going to discuss anyway, which is tropes.
Oh yes.
Um, which I think would be fun to talk about. I mean, I didn't even know what a trope was until about 5 minutes ago. And it's obviously an important thing for anyone interested in books or working in books to know.
Yeah.
Um, like, how would you define tropes to people who don't know what they are?
Um, something that is inherently described in the book. So it's a thing that is a massive factor to the plot, but it
Yeah.
isn't necessarily the whole plot.
Yeah.
So you have like tropes, but you also have like subtropes. And a subtrope would be like, he has big hands. Like, do you know, like
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
subtropes, but then there's also like enemies to lovers is a trope.
Yeah.
Or there's like yeah, there's just different things. So some of mine are enemies to lovers, second chance romance, podcast vibes. So things like None of This Is True, Listen to the Lie by Amy Tintera, um, and All the Missing Pieces by Catherine Cowell. So they're all like an audiobook, not an audiobook, a podcast style. So they're doing a podcast within the book, and it's all set out like a podcast, and it's so clever the way it's done because there is like scenes but a lot of it is like you're reading a podcast. And I just think
Wow.
that's so clever. And that's one of my favourite things to read. But going back to Catherine Cowell's romantic suspense, I am a lover of romantic suspense. Like, give me the murder, give me the love. Let me fall in love with the murderer, but then turn around and say he's a murderer, and then I have to love the other one. Like, I will gag over it.
Love it. I love it. And I'm glad you introduced me to tropes because obviously they're everywhere and in movies as well as books and things like that. And it's such a gorgeous way of looking at it. Like, there's these familiar kind of elements of the plot that writers will write in on purpose because they enjoy writing it or they enjoy reading it as well. And they know that there's going to be, a readership for that trope, for those tropes.
Exactly.
And I love that as a way of getting into writing, imagining what kind of characters you might have. So I guess it's almost like also an extension of some of the genres as well, so you have
Yeah,
romance, but what do you have within the romance kind of thing? Or you have thrillers, but what do you have within the thrillers, which is so exciting. Um,
exactly. Like
Yeah.
you've got your romance, but then you've got dark romance, you've got romantic suspense, you've got rom-com. There's so many different things, and obviously, like tropes can be seen as a bad thing. Like they can be like misconstrued as like they just give away the plot.
Yeah.
They're there to placate readers. Like they're just there to draw in the readers. But a large proportion of us will see what tropes are in the book, and we'll be like, I like that, so we
Yeah.
will be drawn to it. So it's just clever marketing, really. I think it's there's nothing wrong with that. I really enjoy it. I'll see like a trope list and be like a shopping basket. Like I'll be
Yeah.
like, yep, 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 get in my trolley, let's go. So yeah, I love a trope.
I think that's gorgeous. Well, first of all, I think it's important to say that there really is no snobbery here in this book club. Like, there isn't
Absolutely
a
not.
wrong way to read, and there isn't, bad things to read or anything like that. Obviously, there's things that we like and don't like, but I also think, because of the world of Book Talk and what I'm learning about it, mostly through you, is that there is so much gorgeous, passionate, enthusiastic conversation about these tropes and people's favorite tropes, and that it feeds into people's favorite genres as well, like you've said. And it's just started a new level of conversation. And if you have a certain, certain tropes that you love, and you're right, when it's done in a formulaic way or a stereotypical way, yeah, it can become tired, or it can
Yeah,
feel, just kind of like shoehorned in there, to kind of grab readers' attention. But for me, it's an opportunity to take something that is so loved and clearly popular and find a fresh twist, or just write it really well,
yeah.
you know and that's just a gorgeous challenge. And when it's done well, then you have the best books in the world, really, because they're those tropes are popular for a reason, right?
And I mean, you only have to look at the Goodreads 2025 Wrapped thing to see that tropes do well. Like I think was it Fourth Wing, Iron Flame, Onyx Storm? They are so trope heavy and brilliant, absolutely brilliant. You can't fault a good book, but they are so trope heavy, and they're in like top five, like top. They're three of the top five, and it's
Right.
the same series. It's incredible.
Right. So it works,
Mm,
and when it's done well, it's really successful. And
yeah,
and more than anything, it gets people reading.
yeah,
Like, what's not to love about that?
yeah. If someone likes a nice hockey romance, as long as they're reading, who cares? If,
Exactly.
if someone likes enemies to lovers, go for it. It's
Absolutely.
just pick up the book.
Yeah, yeah, and actually that's a great example. I haven't seen it yet, of, that trope being done very well and literally like gripping a world, a
Yeah.
country, and like everyone's just obsessed with it now. So
Hmm.
it still works, and it's still working, and it can still be done really well.
Yeah.
Gorgeous. Oh, what's next, Sam? What should we talk about next?
Oh, let's go into books we're looking forward to in 2026. What books
Yeah.
are on your radar?
Yeah, not loads. Like, so I never know what's coming up. Like, I'm always the last to know. So I'm not an early adapter or whatever it's called. I'm certainly not a trendsetter. Um, I still had like I had like my cousin's hand-me-down pager for years when everyone else had mobile phones. So that's me. But so I often just wait for people to tell me what they've read and what they like, or what's blowing up, or what have you, or what wins an award, or what have you. But there are some writers that I follow on Instagram and on TikTok and what have you, and I did see that Barbara Kingsolver has pressed send on her next manuscript. So I am really excited about that, because
Ooh.
I just thought, um, her books are just so incredible, and for me, just so epic, but also so local and intimate, and say something about the world that we're living in, and who the most vulnerable are. And I think she's the only person to win the Women's Prize twice. Is that right? Something like that. So so chances are it's going to be good.
Yeah.
And she does take her time with them as well. So I think it's going to be, it's going to be a kind of a heavy literary piece, but done with heart, and done and written by someone who usually has skin in the game. You know, it's usually about her local community and the people she knows, and you know, the kind of the marginalized people of her community. So I'm really, really interested in that.
Ooh,
Um, and then we know that one of our guests, Melissa Cosaquino, has been
yes.
working for a long time on her new book. Now, I don't know that it's coming out in 2026. She likes to take her time. But she has been telling us a bit about all the research she's been doing, which included coming to visit Glastonbury from New
Yes,
York.
from New York.
Yeah, so I'm fascinated, and you know, she obviously often weaves in so much kind of feminine spirituality and yeah, feminine deities, but with a really urban kind of element to it, and it's so earthy and it's so grounded in the, you know, times that we live in. So whenever that comes out, I'll be very, very excited. I think that's it. That's all I've got on my radar, I think. What about
Oh
you?
my goodness. I I'm a bad one for this because my TBR gets longer and longer and longer. I obviously with like getting the advanced reader copies, I have things that are on my radar for 2027. So
Wow.
it's kind of like I'm always a bit ahead in some ways. I'm reading I started reading Mother Faker last year, like maybe December, and obviously it didn't come out till next month. So it's always a little bit ahead. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to Maggie Gates's next book, which is called Good Hands. She is one of my favourite authors, as I've told you before. She wrote my favourite series of all time, the Beaufort Poker Club, and it follows six friends. Well, more than six friends because people join, but six core friends, and it's very sitcom like. And I
Okay.
know I said, I can't remember which live it was that I said it, but I struggle with series as a whole because I'm like, is it that deep? Is it that long? Does it need to be that many pages? But this one, it's all broken up. It's interconnected. You can't read it as a standalone, but you can read the first book as a standalone. You wouldn't want to, but you can. Um, but yeah, it's just full of heart, full of love. It's all romance. There is a different romance at the heart of every story, but there's so much more than that. It's friendship, it's found family, and they are a family. There's some within the story that have no family, so they are literally their family. And it
Mm.
was so healing for me at that time when I read it that I will carry that series. If I had to, I can't believe I'm admitting this, but if I had to take 10 books, if I had to evacuate my house, they would be six of them.
Wow.
It
Wow.
is that deep. I am obsessed with that series. I wanted a tattoo. I've never had a tattoo in my life. I
Oh,
wanted a poker card tattooed on my arm.
wow.
I went in hard for that book. I fell in love with that book. And then obviously, like I said before, then going on to naming one of the characters in her book, Ophelia, and her little pet hedgehog was such a like, oh, moment for me. But yeah, I am so looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to Before I Knew I Loved You, before by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. So excited for that one because I love the entire series. My Husband's Wife by Alice Feeney, another thriller, but I will devour anything she writes. Rock Paper Scissors by her is one of my favourite thrillers ever, so I'm excited for that one. Sweet Bitter Song by Rosie Hewlett, which is Greek myth. Very excited for that one. Shadow Reaper, Trad Wife. I'm very excited for this one.
Yeah.
It's, very influencer-esque. So it's this tradwife influencer, and someone goes to be a journalist for that. And the secrets, obviously, I've not read it yet, but the secrets, there's deception. It's all not all as it seems. So I'm very excited about that because I will read anything influencer-esque because I feel like there's such a deep, dark side to it all that I am like, tick. But there's so many. Obviously, being on Bookstagram, Book Talk, people put out posts and videos of everything that's coming up, and you're just like, I can't keep track.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so true, isn't it? I'm always like 2 years behind. You know, everyone's like raving about a book, and it takes me 2 years to get to it because my TBR list is always just, yeah, ridiculous. But
Yeah.
it's incredible. And also, you know, it's part of your vocation to keep up with it, you know, and where do you start? I mean, there's such a huge offering on a daily basis, you know, new books coming out every day. It's amazing.
It is overwhelming at times though with the amount that come out, because then I'm sat looking at my shelves thinking you're neglected because there's so many new things coming in. I'm like, oh well, that one's waited this long. I'm itching to touch that one, but then
Yeah,
I'm like, but I really wanted to finish that series, and then it's like, where do you start? Which
yeah.
is why I've always got about 19 books on the go, because I feel bad. I feel like that kid that won't like put one teddy bear away because then it's not with its friends. So it's just, I feel like I need to give them all equal attention, but obviously with so many, it's like you physically can't. Otherwise, I would need 29 pairs of hands and like a million eyes. But yeah, I try try to keep up to date, but it's a losing battle because every single day new books are coming out.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good problem to have, though.
It is a good
Definitely.
problem to have. There are
Yeah,
there's it's yeah, there's just a million books at our disposal.
yeah. Love it. Oh gosh, there's so many. Well, you've kind of maybe answered one of the questions, which is a book that changed you've come up with this question, which I think is gorgeous. A book that changed your entire perspective of reading. Do you feel like you've covered that already, or is there more that you would mention?
Oh, that I would say that I've covered that because obviously that did shape a lot of my early years on Book Talk, because that was probably, apart from the standard A Court of Thorns and Roses series,
Yeah,
that was probably the first series that I read first to last book.
yeah,
Whereas maybe I'd kind of dibbled and like I've read one or two books to this one and not carried on. That one was one that got me mind, body, and soul. I was just like, I am all in for this series. I would die for you all. Whereas, like before, I was kind of like, yeah, I enjoy these books. Like, it's my perspective on life hasn't really shifted, but I enjoy reading them.
yeah,
But that one really got me in my heart, and I was like, I can see myself in these characters. I can see part of my struggles in these characters. I can see hope and like love and future and like yeah, I could see all that within them books, and I thought yeah, I hadn't really read anything pre that made me think it's deeper.
yeah. And would you say, like, maybe linked to that, like, because it sounds like it was, you know, quite early on that you found those books as well. And I think we're so open and vulnerable in those years and stuff. But another question that you had is like a book that shaped your adolescence. Like, do you feel that was part of that time, or is there another book that maybe, or another writer that shaped your even younger years, would you say?
Yeah, definitely not the Both at Poker Club. That was early 20s.
Yeah.
That wasn't adolescence. Probably Grief is the Thing with Feathers by
Yeah.
Max Porter. I remember my drama tutor gave me that book because I was dealing with grief at the time. And we went to see, we studied the Cillian Murphy adaptation. Um, and that was absolutely brilliant. And I just think the portrayal of grief in that book is like hauntingly beautiful. It's quite staggeringly raw, but
Yes.
it's also very like surprisingly funny.
Mm.
It wasn't cut and dry. It wasn't what you would expect it to be. And it kind of opened my eyes to thinking, well, I can get through this. Not every day is going to be deep and dark. Not every day will be the same. It
Yeah.
opened my eyes to the phrase that healing isn't linear. And it just kind of, yeah, that is the one that shaped me the most in adolescence. But pre that, that shaped my reading experience, and I've said it before when you questioned me, was Born to Run by Michael Morpurgo, because
Yeah.
that was the first book that obviously I'd read Roald Dahl, I'd read Tracy Beaker. I'd read like Jacqueline Wilson's other books and things like that, but yeah, that's the first one that I remember choosing at a school book fair and reading cover to cover, like with my little flashlight under my cover in bed, like, oh, I want to read. But yeah, that's kind of, yeah, that shaped me. What about you?
Amazing.
I've
Oh
got
God,
deep.
this is amazing. Yeah, you did. Well, one Beck 789 said, "For me, this is the reading list. Truly showed the power of reading and how it can join generations, cultures, shared experiences. A beautiful, powerful book for me." Oh yeah, I wonder which one that was for, Beck. Please remind us which one you were mentioning.
I
Um,
think I've seen that book. I haven't read it myself, but I think I've seen
yeah.
it.
Yeah. Um, I love that you found grief is the thing with feathers so early on, and especially in such an important moment in your life where you needed it. I think, isn't it interesting, especially that a teacher can gift you that, and that it can help you make sense of something.
Yeah.
This
It
is
shows the power of a book rec.
100%, 100%. Yeah, book recs can change lives. Um, so for me, maybe I'll start with a book that it really made an impression on me as a teenager. I mean, I was one of those like, oh, The Reading List. Thank you, Beck,
Yes,
by
yes.
Sarah Nisha Adams. Okay, one for us to have a look at.
I've
Thank you.
actually read a book by Sarah Nisha Adams. I read The Twilight Garden, and if that's anything like that, it was beautifully written.
Amazing. We love a book rec. Thank you,
We
Beck.
do.
You're now an honorary member of the book club. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, and so for me, like I was one of those weird kids who was like reading really heavy, like literary tomes at like 15 and 16. Um, but like I read The Color Purple when I was like 15 or something like that, and it really disturbed me. But I was also blown away that books
Yeah.
like that existed. And actually, I think what was interesting was that, like, when I was growing up, there wasn't lots, I think, that was around for adolescence and the experience of
Right.
adolescence. And it was mostly like Judy Blume, which is very, very American. And a lot of people rate her. I never got into her, and I read quite a few of her books, but if I'm honest, I found her quite white and quite American and middle
Yeah.
class. And it didn't really speak to my urban immigrant, working class council flat kind of experience that I was having in a very rough, comprehensive school, inner city comprehensive school. But there were others, and there was this writer called Rosa Guy. This is such an old book. Like this book is, well, I'm not going to say because then you know how old I am, but it's decades old. And this is called Ruby, but this is actually part of a series of 3 books, I think, about 2 sisters or 3 sisters or a family who I think I mean, I can't even remember. Yeah. So I think the mother has died and the 2 sisters, so Ruby's the eldest, and I can't remember the name of her younger sister, but they're really struggling because their dad is grieving. He can't connect with them. He's too lost in his own grief, and they can't really find each other because they're also lost in grief. So grief again, but it really is about loneliness more
Yeah.
than anything, and just this description of loneliness. And I think it starts with this incredible description. Yeah, let me just read a bit of this because this has stayed with me for decades. Like I haven't opened this book in years, right? Loneliness, like a vapor, wafted from her bowels up through her stomach, encompassed her heart, where, gaining substance, it slithered along her throat, collecting, thickening, making the cords bulge out on her neck, forcing her to swallow, hold on to the thickness, prevent its erupting into screams, hysteria, torrents of tears. That's the first sentence of the book. And I was like, oh my God, I'm lonely too. Oh my God, yes, I totally understand what you mean. And then
Oh
it
my
just, it
God.
goes on into desire and like sexuality and, just that really sensitive, vulnerable time. And I think she's
Yeah.
like the older one. So she's kind of like, she's not too young. I think her younger sister is like 12. But there's something so delicate, and it just depicts that experience, that adolescent experience, so beautifully. Um, and it just, I couldn't, like, I feel like I read it yesterday, and that depiction of loneliness in particular, but just that loneliness of that age, that you don't feel people necessarily understand you, or you've had this life experience that seems to kind of separate you from everyone else. And you
The
might.
eldest daughter syndrome.
Oh my, do not get me started. I mean, if there's a trope that I can identify with, it's that one.
You and me
um,
both.
right. So, yeah. So I think that's really shaped my adolescence. I was like, oh my God, I feel seen. And then I think the other question was like books that change your entire perspective of reading. I mean, I'd say there was like a movement of writers, and a lot of them were like African American women in the 80s and 90s. So I discovered them, a bit afterwards. But, Toni Morrison was one.
Yes.
And this is just one of the books, but I've lost so many of hers because I just lend them out and they never come back. But Beloved is obviously the most epic. But The Bluest Eye, Jazz, Song of Solomon, I could go on. Um, I'd never seen anyone use language like that before. And obviously, Beloved in particular, but The Bluest Eye as well, it kind of describes the undescribable. It's either to do with slavery, or, what happens when halfway through your life you're given freedom and you're suddenly a human, or, the horror of torture and sexual violence. And, and it's so poetic. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like he had to break all the rules of language in order to create a new way to discuss these things. And it's so human. It's so human, and colorism and racism, and, and I would add, like, in that era, there's obviously Maya Angelou as well,
Yes.
who is incredible, in a very similar way. But then I think also what is amazing about Toni Morrison and feeds into slightly other type of genre is this magical realism that was kind of quite prevalent around that time. And Isabel Allende, who wrote The House of the Spirits, for me, I was just like,
Oh.
oh
Oh,
wow.
I've never heard of that one.
Oh my goodness. It's like one of the best books ever written. So,
Oh, let me write it down.
yeah, The House of the Spirit. So, this is a Chilean writer from Chile. She is actually a descendant of Salvador Allende, who was in power in Chile, the elected president of Chile, before the very fascist right wing coup, military coup by Pinochet, which changed the history of that country. So she is describing that moment in history, but through magical realism. So there's characters flying off, there's, these spirits coming in, so it's so political and it's so relevant, and yet it's so magical. And so she, I think, the people maybe that she was inspired by were Love in the Time of Cholera. I think that's a Colombian writer. I can't remember his name now, but there's this real
Mhm.
legacy and movement, especially in Latin American literature, and Hispanic literature, of this kind of magical realism, which I'm obsessed with, and I discovered it through her. So these were all women writing in the 80s and the 90s. And so I was kind of, discovering them a bit later, but they blew my mind. I just didn't know you could write books like that, and you could use language like that. And it was, again, so relevant to the times that we were living in. So, yeah, those are some books that changed my perspective.
Isn't it fascinating how so much of magical realism, so much of fantasy is so heavily political, but how much beauty they strike from pain?
Yeah.
Like, it's so. I've noticed it so many times, like within fantasy books I've read, they're the most political by far of the books I've read. And I just find it so interesting that in those worlds they create, they can put such ideas forward that are happening to us, but something in our brain separates it from what's going on. And I
Yeah.
just think that's the most powerful tool, and people are actually diving into it and seeing it now. And yeah,
100%. And I wonder if it's a safe way of doing it,
yeah,
because it's slightly distanced. You're not going to get criticized. You're not going to get cancelled because it's relevant, but it's not. And it's magical. So it's not fully real. And I think there's a safety in that.
yeah, it is. You're not naming names. You're not saying anything that's explicitly true. You
Yeah.
are saying exactly what's happening, but you're not saying any names, countries, anything.
Yeah.
There's a barrier of protection up, and I feel like that barrier of protection is coming down a little bit in the last few years. I don't know whether you feel the same, but
Yeah.
I've seen it slipping a little bit, and yeah, it's the right direction.
100%. Yeah. There's less fear and it's becoming more and more relevant, right?
Yeah.
Which is great. Yeah.
I also just had a complete 180 to the emotional, deep conversation. And another one that shaped my adolescence was 50 Shades of Grey.
Ah,
And, and do you
interesting.
know why? Because
Go
I
on.
read that book. The story of why I picked it up is incomprehensible. It is literally unbelievable. I saw an old man reading it in the Isle of Asda, like just reading it, and I thought, oh, well, that must be quite profound. That must be a good book. An old man's reading that. That must be very mature. It was very mature. Um, so I picked that up and I was like, Mum, can I get this one? And she got it me. She had no idea. She's not a reader. But I got that home and I started to read it. I thought it was brilliant for like the first few chapters before anything got to
Yeah.
and then I took that book because I went to a Catholic high school, um and I was reading it in a Eucharist.
Wow.
The worst part's not been said yet. I got sent out of said Eucharist, almost almost got suspended because of that book. So that did
Wow.
shape my adolescence really, because it put the fear of God in me.
Quite literally.
Quite literally, because it was during a Eucharist. So yeah, quite literally shaped
Wow.
my adolescence.
Very interesting. Wow. That was a close one, for
It was
sure.
a close one.
Um, well, I mean, the time has flown. I can't believe we've only got like 12 minutes left or what have you, but I wonder if we can jump to a couple of things. My suggestion is, I mean, we could go on for another 10 hours, so we'll definitely do another one of these because we've got like
Scratch the
20 questions.
surface.
Scratch the surface. We've got like 20 questions here and we've done like three, right? Um, but maybe what we could do is talk about the book that we always recommend to people.
Oh,
And then maybe do a quick fire round to finish.
yeah,
What do you think? There we
yeah.
go. I think that would be fun. So, is there a book that you always recommend to people? Oh, it's backwards.
I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Hartman.
Um,
I have recommended this book to every single person I've ever come into contact with, I think. Since I read it, it's just incredible. And it's so short, like, but also look at the amount of tabs for how short it is. It honestly phenomenal. It's 39 women and one young girl who are trapped in an underground bunker. None of them know why they're there. This young girl, the older women have a perceptive of what life was like before the bunker. The young girl has no clue. She doesn't remember anything but life in the bunker, so she's stripped of anything that is, what's the word? Anything that's like for herself. She doesn't know what a chair is because they only sleep on a mattress on the floor. There's nothing that she can't say, like she's had no relationships, she doesn't remember her parents.
mm,
These women, there's a very like poignant scene in the book where they're talking about losing the virginity and she has no idea what it even is, and she thinks they're keeping something from her but she has no idea.
wow.
And but yeah, everything's kept regimented. The time, there's guards on the door, so they're strict. They don't speak. It's complete silence from all the guards, and they eventually get out of the bunker. But it's just a complete bleak, like journey for finding some kind of freedom that is never going to happen, because once they get out, it's dystopian. They don't just get out of the bunker and go into the real world. They're out into some dystopian world that there's no one there. It's just bleak nothingness. And they keep coming across other underground bunkers that have another 40 people in them, or no one, because they've done the exact same thing. And yeah, it's just the journey of this girl who knows nothing. She has never known any other men other than them men that are there to guard her. She has no life outside of the bunker, and yeah, it's brilliant.
Amazing.
Yeah,
What a premise. What a premise.
yeah.
Wow. I will
It's just
definitely.
about human connection, what it means to be a human, what it
Yeah.
means to form bonds with these people, because on their journey they do form bonds. Obviously, these women are the only thing that she knows. They're the closest thing to a family that she has, even though she would not say that they were close. But they are the people that teach her everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant, and it's so short but so profound and so impactful for such. I don't even know how many pages is it. It's not even 200 pages. It's like 189 pages, and so much happens.
Yeah. Yeah. Another one of those amazing kind of short books, novellas that just work so hard. Every word works so
Not a
hard.
word was unnecessary.
Yeah.
It was there for a purpose.
Amazing.
What
But
about you?
what about me? Well, you know this one. I'm obsessed with Carmen and Grace
Yes.
by Melissa
Yes.
Constantino. So what this is lovely because, a friend recommended it to me and bought it for me actually. And I was like, oh, thank you, and her name's Sophia. Thank you, Sophia. And I read it and I was like, what is this? Like, everyone needs to read this. And I immediately bought 5 copies. And I was just like,
I
have
love
it, have
that.
it. I was like, Oprah, you get a book, you get a book, you get a book. Everyone was getting a book. And, luckily everyone agrees with everyone who's received it from me agrees with me, like they really have loved it. And obviously we were so honored to actually have Melissa join us from the Bronx in New
From the
York.
States.
Yeah, it was absolutely amazing to talk with her, and it really was. I was surprised that I managed to actually put string a sentence together because I was so fangirling and so amazed by her. And of course, she was so, friendly and down to earth and so warm.
Hmm.
But I do feel like there's something super, super special about this book, just because I think it speaks to me. It's urban, it's set in a city, it's just about female relationships and sisterhood. It's so flawed and dysfunctional, and just, girls and young women who have had it tough trying to survive, but all the stereotypes and the tropes that you think are going to be there are turned on their head. They're super intelligent, they're well educated, they're very well organized, but they're also um really, like, codependent, dependent on each other. They're not allowing each other to kind of move on. um there's a real kind of enmeshment there because they are chosen family, because they've had to be. And it's so beautiful and flawed and messy and dark and, yeah, full of heart and full of womanhood. And yeah, it just speaks to me. It really does. And I love those kind of love stories that aren't necessarily the romantic ones.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm just a bit of a broken record when it comes to that book. I just, go on. And I think actually, I think an honourable mention has to be made, and I think we should go into this next time. But it's got to be Hamnet, because I watched the movie and I'm obsessed. I was obsessed by the book. I then went, I travelled, I drove all the way to Stratford upon Avon to see the Royal Shakespeare Company's theatre version of it.
Oh
And
my
I did not
gosh.
like it. I didn't enjoy it. They didn't do a good job. So I was really reticent about watching the movie, and it floored me. Like, I bawled my eyes out and then slept for 11 hours. So, so whatever
Oh my
magic,
gosh.
yeah, it really was very powerful. And for me, it's almost a perfect novel. I don't know where to start. And you know what? I won't, because if I do, it will be a whole podcast and a dissertation, and it's for another time. But yeah, Hamnet, especially because there's some hype around it right now,
Yeah.
it really is worth the hype. Like, read it, read it, read it. Watch the movie, but read the book first, because you'll understand. You'll understand what's special about it. So yeah, those are my book recommendations.
All absolutely. I Carmen and Grace especially. That is one of my favourite reads of last year, and that is down to you. I probably wouldn't have found that book,
Oh,
so thank you.
you're welcome. You're so welcome. You get a book. You get a
You get a
book.
book. Should we dive into the quick fire?
Let's do it. Let's do it. Okay. Should we
Okay.
like ask each other the same question and then jump to the next one, or do one and a different one? How do you want to do it?
Do it at the same time. Quick
Yeah.
fire.
Excellent.
Hardback or paperback?
I'm going to go paperback just for
Paperback.
practical reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love a
Great.
hardback for display, but not to read. Audiobook or physical book?
Physical book for
Physical.
me. Yeah.
Yeah. Ebook or physical book? Physical
Physical
book.
book.
Loan a book or buy a book?
Oh, buy a book.
And buy a book, but because I annotate, I don't want to deface property.
Yeah.
One book on the go or multiple? Multiple.
Multiple. That's why we're the what are we called again? The Books
Book
Flags
bags.
Club.
One POV or multiple POV? I'm
Multiple.
multiple.
Yeah. Yeah, multiple.
You are the queen of multiple POV.
Thank you.
Um, First person or third person?
Ooh,
First
first
person for
person.
me.
Yeah,
A bit
first
more
person.
into their head.
Yeah, and also potentially unreliable as well, which is nice.
I love an unreliable narrator. Romance or fantasy?
Fantasy.
Romance.
Ooh.
Or I'll cheat and say romantasy. I've got to have a bit of both.
Fair.
Short book or chunky book?
Oh, chunky book, probably. Oh, I can't choose. I'll probably go
Can I
chunky.
say I like a sweet spot?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't want it
perfect.
priory, but I also don't like them to be like a tiny little wisp.
Yeah, yeah. But then if it's a perfect tiny little wisp, like the ones we've talked about, great.
Yeah, but
But
say like you condense Priory the orange tree down to a tiny little wisp, it wouldn't be the same. So there's got to be a sweet spot.
yeah, sweet spot. Let's go for
Yeah.
the sweet spot. Yeah,
Morning reader or nighttime reader?
nighttime.
Nighttime.
Yeah,
Nighttime. More
always.
fast reader or slow reader? I'm a slow
Slow.
reader.
Yeah, really slow.
Although I did a post earlier and apparently I'm not that much of a slow reader.
Wow, great.
But I thought I was.
I think it's just because of the amount of books in the world, it never feels fast enough.
Yeah, maybe. Read in bed or read on the sofa?
Oh, a bit of both.
I'm gonna say sofa.
Mm,
'Cause I fall asleep easier in bed.
yeah, yeah, I'd go sofa.
Long chapters or short chapters? Short.
Sure. Yeah,
But re read with music or read without music?
without.
Without.
No, silence.
Without.
Yeah, do not disturb. Yeah,
Literally, do not
yeah.
disturb me, do not distract me, get your music off. Reread or read only once?
I mean, I'd like to reread, but there's not enough time in the world, so just read once.
Exactly that, but I am a rereader. Series or standalone? Standalone as a whole.
Standalone. Yeah, I agree with you. Like, it's got to be really good, and you've got to really have chops if you're going to make it a
Yeah,
series.
exactly that. I would rather a standalone, but if it's a good series, I'll go for it.
Yeah,
Fiction or non-fiction?
fiction.
Fiction.
I've got non-fiction books that I started 10 years ago that I haven't finished yet. Yeah,
I didn't even
it's
start any 10 years ago, so you're doing good.
yeah, fiction every time.
Um, Crack the spine or keep it pristine?
Pristine. I
Cracked
know,
is fine because I annotate, but I
I
don't want to crack it.
know. I know you and me are different that way. I like my books. I always think of all the future generations I'm going to pass them down to, and I want them to look nice and
But, but,
pristine.
but, but, you can take the tab out.
True. Very true.
Oh.
Yeah.
Still
Yeah.
cracked though. Annotate or keep clean. Annotate.
Clean.
Bookmark or dog ear.
Bookmark.
If
Yeah.
there is even a leaf on the floor, I would use that over dog earing.
Same.
I can't bring myself to. First edition or special edition?
Oh,
Special edition.
yeah, special edition. Yeah.
Yeah. I just think they're pretty. First edition's great, but I wouldn't want to ever break it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um, biography or self-help?
Self
Self-help.
help. Yeah.
I'm
I
not
need all the
bothered.
help I need.
I'm really not bothered.
Same.
TBR or mood reader? Mood reader.
Newsreader, yeah. Yeah.
Adaptations or the book is always better?
Book.
Book's always better.
Book.
Unless it's Hamnet.
Well, the book's still better. It's just a very good adaptation, but read the book first, for sure. Oh, yay! That was
We're
fun.
not
We should do that
done. We're
again.
not done.
We're not done. Is there more? Oh, my
Buddy
literature.
read or read alone?
Say that again.
Buddy read or read alone?
Alone.
Alone.
Yeah.
As I said at the start.
Yeah.
Escapism or gritty realness?
Gritty realness.
Gritty realness. With a bit of escapism.
Yeah. Yeah.
Summer beach reading or cozy indoor winter reading? Summer
Cozy.
beach reading.
Oh, cozy indoor.
I'd do both, but I'd love a bit of sun right now.
Yeah.
Prize winner or bestseller?
Prize winner. I'm a snob.
Prize winner.
Yeah.
Prize winner. Because bestseller can still be really bad. It's got to have
Yeah.
been great to win a prize.
Agreed.
Time jumps or linear? Time jump.
Time jumps, I think. If it's done well, then yeah. Mm.
I hated time jumps before Say You'll Be There, so you did something to my brain chemistry.
Oh,
But yeah, time jump. I like it when it's done well.
yeah. I feel honoured.
Just did it really well.
Thanks.
But that is the end of the quick fire round.
That was fun. We should do that again. I hope everyone
Good.
else enjoyed it because we did.
Yeah, well, I had a great time.
Well, thank you everybody for joining us for the very first Book Slags Book Club.
Is that a thing now?
I don't know. We'll decide. Let's see. We'll chat. We'll message. But yeah, it's been so much fun, and thank you, Sam. This has flown by.
It really has. I feel like we just blinked and
Yeah,
it's done.
yeah. So it just goes to show there's a lot more content here. And
Yeah.
thank you, everybody. Beck, you
Thank
star.
you.
I'm so glad you're
Thanks for
happy to
being
be part
black.
of this.
So are
You're in
we.
the club. So yeah, thank you everyone for joining us. And we have got some amazing guests coming in the next few
Back
weeks.
to back.
Like literally back to back, like we can't quite believe it. So thank you for joining us for this week. We will be letting everybody know as it evolves who's coming next. But please stay tuned, and we will be jumping a few days depending on these amazing
Yeah.
people's schedules, but we will let you know well in advance, and hopefully you'll join us again. So thank
Because we
you.
love seeing your comments and knowing you're there.
We
It
really,
means the world. It has done since the first one, and seeing the same names keep popping up. It's like a little family.
yeah, or a book club.
Or a book slide club.
So until next week, everyone, keep warm, keep your brews nice and hot.
Get your blankets.
Get your blankets, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week, guys.
Bye.